So take one. All right, so boom, bro. How you feeling?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm good, good. Obviously, you know, it's been a long time coming. This is
Sure.
one of the first. It's going to be one of the first episodes that we come back with. Obviously, you know, Evolving Through Experience been around since 2018. But we'll get into that while we just now getting back, not without obviously without the excuses though. But let's start from the beginning, bro. Obviously, first and foremost, I can't introduce you as best as you can, but obviously, you know, we've been friends, more like brothers now since high school, and that relationship has just pretty much grown since then. But obviously, let's just get straight into it. First, how you remember how we met?
It's crazy.
I know I know it was high school, but I don't know exactly how.
Yeah,
we
I
met.
can't
Do you
remember the exact day. I think it was. I know it was like I want to say I was in 10th grade. You was a freshman, I believe, right? Or,
Nah, I wasn't a freshman
You wasn't a
out
freshman.
here. Yeah, I came in 10th grade, so you was a class above me.
Yeah, so
I
that
think
means
you
we
was-
met senior year then.
Yeah,
well, my senior year.
Yeah, your
Your
senior year. Okay.
Yeah, you
Because
were a junior.
so I met junior when okay, cool. All right, boom. I don't know exactly how we met, like you said. So, but I do know you was always like you was always laid back. Still are.
For
I
sure.
think that's how that's what made us vibe because it was just like I know I was selling like snacks and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I was about to say stuff, but we don't want to get the wrong message out.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
so selling snacks. I think that's probably how we met. You probably met me through buying a snack. I don't know. But obviously since then I know the relationship has grown, and we always had that same mindset on just staying focused, growing, or whatnot. So before we even get into it, like, do you know a time where, from you personally, where you've been overwhelmed?
Yeah, definitely.
Give us an example.
Yeah, bro. I would say, shoot, a definite time that I was overwhelmed was just last month. I was planning planning a wedding.
Amazing wedding, though. I just
You
want
know
to
what
go
I'm
on record
saying?
saying
So
that.
I definitely would say that was a time that was pretty stressful. But I mean, you got to show up.
Facts.
But I look at like stressful moments in life as opportunities really to grow, to be honest, because I think that your best performances, your best efforts really come out when sometimes you feel like your back may be against the wall. So I look forward to sometimes those moments, to be honest.
No, I'm glad you said that because honestly, that's exactly what Evolving Through Experience is about. Like, it's so many things I can say about Evolving Through Experience, but just for the lack of keeping it simple and not trying to show somebody, it's just better. I'm just going to go through example. So with that being said, obviously we know you don't talk about this side as much as far as being adopted. And so can we go into that, because like you said, obviously when your back is against the wall, and I feel like obviously that's a reason where you are who you are today, regardless of how some people look at it and be like, oh, that's a bad thing. You see the positive in it, and it's made you who you are today. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, I feel like for me, you know, being adopted as, you know, like, you know, one of those planned adoptions, being a day old, I think it really brought out really the best in me, to be real with you. 'Cause I feel like in life I've always felt like I can't count on anybody. So it's like, instead of me expecting to count on people or expecting myself to rely on people, I've never really relied on anybody, but I just kind of go out there and do it myself. So I think that's super important.
Yeah.
You know, for me, it's like, yo, you know, me being adopted, kind of carrying that kind of lone wolf kind of mentality. That's, you know, been a huge benefit for me. Even at 11, 12 years old. And to your point, like, I'm very laid back, but a lot of times I'm just quiet and observe, just because I know there's a lot to learn from just sitting back and listening instead of speaking.
Agree. So when can you say that transition happened? Because obviously, as like you said, a day old, I can only imagine, like, knowing you're adopted. Obviously, you didn't know it at a day old, but when you're coming up at a young age and you're not processing things how you are now, you realize, you find out, or however it was told to you, that, oh, you've been adopted. Not necessarily your biological parents didn't want you. I don't know how it was said, but more of like, how did you avoid that feeling? And then when did you transition and be like, okay, I'm thankful for it happened this way, because now I can see the positive, and this is what made me who I am today.
Yeah, because I feel like, you know, for me, I don't really know what could have been, right? I try not to live life with what ifs or what could have, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know what situation I would have been in outside of the situation I'm in right now. And, you know, you got to look at it as like, hey, the grass isn't always greener on the other side, but make the best of the cards that you're dealt, or the hand that you're dealt.
Agree.
So for me, that's my reality, is like, yo, you know, I'm super grateful for how things have turned out. And I think a lot of other people probably would have folded.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I just think, you know, I think highly of myself when it comes to that.
Okay, and then so with that being said, I'm glad you said that because, like you said, a lot of people else would have folded from situations like that in particular. So, what is like intangible thought you can give somebody? Like, let's just say somebody that's in middle school, and let's just say, because when did you find out?
I found out actually when I was like 8, so I think I was like in 3rd grade.
3rd grade. So they just came out and told you, or how did that work?
Nah, so really what it was, I actually was going to school and I was realizing like, hey, I'm the only kid that doesn't look like the rest of their parents. You know what I'm saying? So like when I'm seeing, you know, kids' parents come in, you know, maybe it's their birthday, they're dropping cupcakes off, or they just coming for a parent-teacher conference, whatever they might be coming for. I realized, I'm like, dang, my friend Shane, he looked just like his mom. I'm like, dang, my friend Paul, he looked just like, you know, his dad. Like I'm just realizing all these different things, and I'm seeing it. I'm like, yo, they all look like their parents, but why do I look like my mom and my dad? You know what I'm saying? So as a young kid, I feel like a lot of times you kind of know something's up, but you don't quite have all the answers. You feel me? So that's how I found out. So I went and asked, and you know, got the answers that I wanted.
Immediately. So, no, that's good, and I could only obviously I could commend you for that for several things. For one, it says a lot about you to even realize that in the 3rd grade. Most kids, they not thinking on a high level intellectual quote to say to be able to even process something like that. So you processing that at a young age, and that's why you are where you are today too. Like obviously, even with the stock market, and we'll go to that a little later on. But as far as that being noticed at that age, that's commendable, and I think we got to definitely like make sure that's noted. So, and also I want to say, shout out to your, I ain't gonna say you prefer me to say adopted parents, or how you prefer your moms. Your moms. You know, I met your mom, so at the end of the day, it's also a respect to them and commend, because like they immediately told you, because I know situations where kids don't find that out, and they've been avoided for so long. Even now, and it's just like it's not my place to say something, but I can see where that could be future turmoil because it's not stated up front, or you lied about it now, and it's like, but then again, I could imagine the predicament, because it's like, how do you tell them, explain this to a young kid that maybe their parents decided to adopt or give them away because not necessarily they didn't care, but maybe they just felt they wasn't in the right place to pretty much take care of them. So I definitely just want to say I commend that. So what would you say to a 3-year-old, not a 3-year-old, but a kid that's around that age or whatnot, that's just finding this out? What intangibles would you give him now to say, oh yeah, you're adopted, although you know just found out you're adopted? What could you give them that could somewhat help them?
Yeah, I would say just really being yourself and don't worry too much about comparison to others. I think sometimes when you kind of feel excluded, you start to kind of go through those different comparison factors of, okay, well, my friends have this, but I don't have this. Like, I would stay away from stuff like that. That would be one piece of advice that I could give to, you know,
vital advice, because we still got to do that to this day, no matter what age. So okay, cool. So now that being that we just kind of got straight to it, I know that has a huge impact on you being a parent now. Obviously, a parent of a daughter and a son. So let's talk about that. Like, as far as before you even get to it, how that affects it. But when did you find out? Like, how did you find out you was going to be a parent or whatnot? Like, how was it? Because was it planned or it was like unplanned?
Nah, it wasn't planned. But it was. I would say when you asked the question, I think it was in the beginning when you talk about stressful.
Overwhelmed,
overwhelmed. When you asked me, when I found out I was having a girl the first time, you know, it was definitely some stress involved, because there was a point where there was some uncertainty of whether the baby was mine or not. You get what I'm saying? So that was a whole nother type of stressful overwhelmingness. You get what I'm saying? So there was some thoughts there. You fortunately, you know, ended up being my daughter. Grateful for that, and have a great relationship. You know, spend so much time with her. You know, it's amazing. So grateful for that. So yeah, I mean, as far as like when I first, you know, me becoming a parent, I think that was a parent even at a younger age, just really was super important, because you think about it, I'm adopted, but I'm also a parent now. So now I kind of get to give my kids everything that I didn't have. You feel me? So kind of like, so it's a great thing, in my opinion.
No, I'm glad you said that, because like I know, the reason I was playing, because I was just like, I know that could add another factor if it's like it just pops up and we still was trying to figure out life, because obviously that would happen in high school. You had your daughter well coming out of high school.
Yeah, pretty much coming out of high school.
Yeah, I remember. And then
my daughter pretty much came like a week before graduation.
So word. I thought she came. Wait, so I'm tripping because you graduated before me. I'm bugging because I know when you came to my party, the graduation party. I know that's when you sent the picture. So maybe I got the dates mixed up.
Yeah.
Okay, so cool. So now I'm glad you said that, because at the end of the day, being a parent, I think that's so vital. And I wanted to ask because I know that could have an effect. But like you said, your mindset is different with it. So I knew, obviously, having a parent, knowing you being adopted, you were more likely to be like, yo, like, I had made the decision to keep, like, mine because, like, this is something that it's so close to home. Like, no, possibly you did.
Super important, bro. You know, I definitely think it's super important in my story. So definitely something to be grateful for. And then plus, at the end of the day, not everyone even gets to have kids too.
Exactly.
Which is a whole separate conversation.
We could talk about that. Like I said, we're just gonna let it flow, because at the end of the day, with me finding out I was about to become a parent, it was just more like I was in shock. I really this crazy. It's a whole story behind this how I found out. But I had a migraine. Like a migraine, you know, it's the difference between migraine and a headache. Like when I found out I had a migraine, I was just like, yo, like, wait, what? Like, I was just like back and forth. Obviously, I didn't have no thoughts of like, was it mine or not? It was just more like the transition, everything where I was at in life at the time was just like, I'm transitioning to a whole nother level, like just growing and evolving. So with the second time when you had this your son, do you say, what did you learn between having your first kid, between having a son, like where you say you can improve? Because I know parenthood is like, it's real.
Yeah, I would say being present more. I think definitely was where areas you could improve upon. Like I guess I would say, you know, throughout that transition. And then the second go around, you kind of know the ropes a little bit more too. You know, just like anything. The second time around of anything you do, you're probably gonna be a little bit better at it in general.
Yeah, agree.
So yeah.
No, I appreciate that, because I tell you all the time, like even outside of this, like you inspire me more on, especially the parent side, to see what we can accomplish. Because like obviously, I felt like in my time, obviously just not about me, but just it's about evolving through experience, and this is just another example for me. But it was just like I'm in a better place in my life, even like financially, and then I'm growing. I'm seeing where I could like really take my life to a whole nother level. And then it's like I found out I'm having a kid.
Yeah.
So it's just like I know the stigma is like, I know people that struggle with having kids. Obviously, like our parents to some degree having kids early, and it's not playing. It's just like okay, the financial side of things, and then even though I realized at that moment financial was just so small part of the equation, because it's more of a spiritual and emotional things that you got to deal with having a kid. The financial is just a small part. So let's just say somebody that's fresh out of high school, that's like don't know what they're about to do next to their life for whatever reason, and they're not there financially, but they just found they had a kid, about to have a kid. What advice could you give them?
Yo, I would just say get to work, man. You really got to get to work. You get what I'm saying? Because you got someone else depending on you is going to be breathing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And your blood will be coursing through their veins. So I just think the best piece of advice that I can give you is really audit your circle too. Change who you might be hanging around, because you're going to go through a dynamic shift. So you need to surround yourself with the right people to make sure that, you know, you're leveling yourself up. But I think there's a lot of people that we can look at and see like, hey, you know, they had kids at certain times where, you know, it was like, man, I'm kind of younger in my career, and, you know, I'm trying to establish things and like figure things out. Even like you take a look at somebody like LeBron. Like LeBron had his son, and he was like still, but like he was like in his early 20s, still fresh in the NBA, still trying to fit. He didn't even win a championship yet. So, but you could definitely tell that him having his kid, his son Bronny, definitely made him a better person.
Agreed.
On and off the court. You know what I'm saying? So, I think kids, for the person that's going to be motivated the right way, could really be a life-changing thing. That's really a super benefit. Because I think it just gives you that extra motivation. Yeah. Because I think sometimes if you don't really have nothing to like go out there and grind for, you could sometimes maybe get a little complacent or a little bit comfortable.
Agreed.
But if you know that, hey, there's something out there that you have to go the extra mile for, that could be a difference maker.
Yeah.
So.
And with no excuses, and even with that, it's like you said, you got to have that mindset, because it's some parents that's not going to care, not going to go the extra mile, not going to be present, not going to be active, and it's like it's already a difference right there between those two. So, but first again, let's just say like, yo, your wedding was amazing. So I want to transition into getting married. Obviously, which was just happened a few weeks ago, which was an amazing wedding. I gotta go on record. I still talking about that wedding. So
sure.
yeah, that wedding was lit. So let's talk about it. So being married, how did you even meet Kim? How you met Kim?
Yeah, bro. So I actually met my wife. Actually, it was actually on Clubhouse.
Okay.
She started following me because of the things that I
Putting out.
putting out content, dealing with the stock market, investing, everything that I do, now. So, and then we ended up just actually connecting and meeting in person, and the rest is history from there.
Okay, cool. So on Clubhouse, oh yeah, bad to some degree, right?
Yeah, I
to
guess
some
so.
degree. Okay, cool.
Some degree.
Nah, facts. Okay, so let's say as far as like advice for marriage, obviously you got married. I ain't even gonna say young because I don't want to put that narrative out there. I think everything, just like even with parenthood, people say, oh, you had a kid too young, and then some people say you had a kid too late.
Oh,
so it's like I don't even want to go with that narrative because I feel like everything, no matter when you have it, it's like it's still gonna be a learning process.
Yeah.
So, but just for the lack of a better word, let's just say people that saying you got married young, like what is your advice to somebody else that's looking to do that or whatever? Like what's your advice?
I think it just has to happen naturally. And I think sometimes, well, I won't say sometimes, I would say that most times in life, the things that you want to happen when you least expect it.
Agreed.
So I think that sometimes, especially when we're thinking about today, if you go on social media right now, there's probably a bunch of videos that are probably like with people sitting just like this, talking to you about how to get in a relationship, or you got girls on podcasts saying this is how you get a high value man, or you got dudes on podcasts talking about what women to date and what women not to date. Should a woman cook? Should she clean? Still in 20? Like you're gonna see all that, and I just call that just garbage. Because it's just like you're listening to people. Majority of those people are not in healthy relationships. Majority of those people are not actually married. But they're telling you what kind of people you should be dating, but they're not even dating those kind of people.
Exactly.
So I look at it like this, bro. I just think that people should be focused on themselves and let things happen in their lives naturally, and don't try to play the comparison, because I think a lot of times, especially with our generation, like it's easy for a girl to be like, man, this girl, she's always on vacation. I want a dude like that. But little does she know, it's not even a dude that's taking her on vacation. Her parents are.
Yeah.
But she's giving this illusion that maybe this dude is buying her these luxury items or going on vacations, and it's a dude. But in reality, it's her mom and dad.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like there's a lot of things that cause a false reality and a false illusion.
Facts.
And I think that as a young man in today's society, you're 23, 24, you're going out here in the dating scene, you're courting a lady and you're looking potentially to get married maybe in a few years or whatever the case may be. I would say, vet them properly, and that word I think has been used a lot when you talk about vet. But I think figure out who that person actually really is before you're making those type commitments. And I think that overall, I think that for our age, bro, I'll be honest, I think a lot of marriages won't even happen. So I don't think a lot of people our age will end up getting married in the first place.
I could agree with that.
And I think that the people that do, I think that they have to. I think the people that end up getting married, I think they'll end up staying married a lot more. Because I think that the people that won't get married will be the ones that if they were to have gotten married, they'll probably be the ones that end up getting a divorce.
Makes sense.
But I think that the people in our generation, if they get married, I think for the most part, a lot of them will stay together because they got married for the right reasons.
Agreed. Okay, I'm glad you said that. And I'm going to double back to that part, because even like you said, the image that could be put out there, it's like the intangibles of where they may show the positive on social media, but let's talk about them behind the scenes, spiritual, emotional warfare that people be dealing with on our own, like myself included, like over the course of time that we've been alive. So like that's another part that's like so vital. People don't want to talk about. We can talk about everything else, but at the end of the day, when the doors close, like how you really feeling inside, like what's really going through your mental type thing. And I think that's something, like you said, when you got to really know people, those are the real conversations that need to be had. Those are the real dialogues that need to be discussed overall, because because once you get started, it's like not necessarily it's too late, but like you said, that's also why marriages fail. And I know we spoke about it as well. I think a lot of people get in these situations without truly knowing a person. And obviously, even with that, people grow and people change,
Yeah.
and I think that's a good thing. I don't think that's a bad thing. But when you don't know people behind the scenes, and then like obviously they have things they're dealing with, like even yourself included, and you don't know like yo like this is the reason why I'm this way. This is the reason I'm not this way, and now it affects the whole relationship. And I think another thing with that is that's why also people stay in marriages at the same time they get in them, because it's like you got in a marriage, but you already been unhappy, and then now you're looking for happiness or substance in here. But it's like the real thing, the real thing is inside that you haven't dealt with.
Yep.
Yeah. So also with that being said, I want to say, what's the time when you had like recent or even old where you have a story of like evolving through experience? Obviously, your whole life is evolving through experience, but let's just give like a direct.
That's a good question, bro. I would say, I mean, most recently, if I wanted to just keep it recent, I would say I think for me, I've been blocking out the noise a lot. There's certain things, I guess I would say, like, I think sometimes, I guess for me, I thought certain things deserve reactions when they really didn't.
Yeah.
So, for me, it's like I kind of don't really give a lot of stuff any leeway or kind of give a lot of stuff any reaction. I think that's a growth moment that everyone, can go through. And I think for myself, that's been one of my most recent growths. It's like, hey, certain things happen. Don't even give them the energy or the emotion or the reaction that you think they might deserve. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
So yeah.
No, I'm glad you said that, because I know one of the stories you're talking about. Obviously, somebody did something on your platform. We're gonna get to BWSO, and it's like they came at you the wrong way and you reacted a certain way. Although that's not even your normal character, but it's like they got you out of your character to some degree. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah.
But and then it wound up messing you up with other things that you really enjoy doing with other brands or whatnot. So like even that, I know that's a prime example.
No, you're right.
Yeah. And then with that being said, it's like even I'm glad you said that, because that's something I'm also trying to do better at. Because you obviously know a recent situation with my son and the whole situation, and like I'm ready to go full out. Like I already contacted attorneys, all that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's just like trying to balance it out and not make things happen out of emotion. Because I know sometimes I think we all guilty of it, like acting off emotion, and then after the fact you see like, dang, it wasn't even worth it. You feel me? Like that whole situation wasn't even worth it. Yeah. But it wound up messing you up. But at the same time, it's not necessarily mess you up. It just made you learn something. Yeah. Because obviously it could have been way worse. Like even with all situations, we could have acted out of emotion. We've seen it, like people act out emotion, now they dead or in jail for the rest of their life. So it's like our small situations, quote unquote, it still affects us, but it's not affecting us where we taking our freedom away. You feel me? So I think that's super important at the end of the day. So what I also want to talk about as far as like, do you feel like you sugarcoat anything with your kids?
Nah, man. Nah, not at all. I think I keep it just totally real with them. And that's my goal, bro, is to not sugarcoat anything from them. Because I think sometimes kids can be privileged and sheltered, which I think is dangerous.
Yeah, agree.
Because privilege and sheltered leads to curious and mysterious. So when you privilege them and you shelter them, that means you close them off to what the real world is like. Because I think as a parent, you want to protect them from what the world is, but at the reality, your job as a parent, yes, it is to protect them, but it's also to enlighten them too. So like even if you take a look at what happened in Tennessee, unfortunately there was some kids that were killed this past week. Yeah, it would be wrong of you to not show your kids that. And the reason why it'd be wrong of you,
could also be hurtful.
You know what I'm saying? Could be hurtful, because if they don't know that these things are happening, what would they do? What would they do if they got into a situation like that?
Agree.
Or how would they not be able to? Maybe you not showing them might cause them to miss certain signs. So I think having those conversations with your kids about things that happen in the world are like super important.
Yeah, and I think I'm sure you probably agree those are hard conversations too. Because imagine having to show your kids or any situation, kids getting killed. It's like, how do you navigate these conversations? And like I know it's a process, because I'm sure you're probably still figuring out. I'm still trying to figure out. So how do you feel like the best way that's worked for you so far to navigate these types of
it's just like really being like, and it depends on their age too. You know what I'm saying? My son, he's 2, so it's like he ain't gonna understand. My daughter, she'll understand a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's about having the conversations little by little and not putting out too much, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're gonna have a different conversation with a kid that's 15 versus a kid that's 5.
Agree.
So I think it's about making the conversation age appropriate.
Okay.
And to their understanding.
Makes sense, breaking it down for them.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I just want to transition to BWSO. Like I said, evolving through experience is about growth in every aspect. Eating like in every aspect you could think of, living, thinking, eating, and just growing for the better, evolving through experience in every aspect, whatever that means to you, but obviously more on the intangible side, because we could talk about the physical all day, but we talk about the emotional, the spiritual, and like mental. Those are the biggest ones. So as far as BWSO, before we get into the details of like what it exactly is, what made you start BWSO? Although I know like to some degree, but like what's the other side of like why you started BWSO and you named it BWSO?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy because even when I was starting it, I guess I really didn't realize how really big it would become, or I guess, and for those that may not know what BWSO stands for, it's Black Wall Street Originals. So the name really came from, like, if you look at black people, we're really the original people of the earth. You know, as much as discredited as we might try to get or whatever, but, you know, everything leads back to black people. You know what I'm saying? Every person on this earth comes from a black person, right? It's scientifically proven. We could look at it.
In the dominant
So it just is what it is. But also, black people were the first people that were ever traded on the stock market. That's something that a lot of people don't know, right? So black people were the original commodity, were the original trade, right? So it's really our birthright, if we're gonna really be honest, for us to be in the stock market and own stocks and to own companies. It's really our birthright. So for me, when it comes to, you know, the stock market and why I started, you know, BWSO, I started BWSO because I felt like Black Wall Street Originals was something that was needed, right?
Yeah.
How many conversations are we having about stocks, options, trading, investing? And like, how many conversations are we having? And so I was in college, you know, and I'm like, you know, what's the number one thing that I'm hearing from my peers in college? You know, I'm hearing from them that, hey, you know, I'm struggling financially. You know, I'm trying to make my financial aid quota. Or they might not be struggling financially, but they might be struggling with time because they're having to work plus go to school, which is hell. You know, for most college students, you working 2-3 jobs, but you still got you still got 2-3 papers due at midnight. You get what I'm saying? So I looked at it, was like, and I started at that point when I was in college. I started trading, making money. So it was pretty much like, for me, everyone was kind of like, dang, Lawrence, you don't work no more. So people just see me. I was just doing school, finishing my schoolwork, chilling, you know. And I felt like, hey, what if I can impact other people like that? You know, what if I can impact people in my immediate circle? So I called a meeting. You know, BWSO wasn't even the name yet. I had to come up with a name, right? But it was about 6 people in my dorm room. 2 of those people were just at the wedding, Gigi and Karai.
Okay.
They were just at the wedding. They were part of the 2. I had another friend, Odyssey, and then I had about 3 guys that came through. And you know, it started like there, literally in my dorm living room. Next thing I know, the next meeting I had 12 people. The next meeting I had 20. Then the next time I walked on campus, I had probably at least a good 10, 15 people ask me, hey, when's the next meeting? Then it got to the point where I had 40 people in my dorm room, and I'm having to tell people, hey, no more can come in. It's full. So, and then I ended up landing a contract with Clayton State University, the school I was attending at the time. I now had an office in financial aid, and I was pretty much teaching stock market investing to the students there. And so that's pretty much how I got started. And I came up with the name over time. It just, you know, made sense to me.
No, I'm glad you said that. Like you said, it just came to you. You didn't force it. You just allowed
it happened naturally.
It happened naturally, and I think that's the best way. And that's kind of like what evolving through experience. Why I even named it that, because it's like we evolved. Like, obviously, it's so much things that we haven't even got into that you overcame, that I overcame, people in general overcame. But it's like evolving is a continuous process. It doesn't stop.
Yeah.
It's not like you evolve today and then tomorrow, like, all right, no issues is going to bother you at all. It's like life continues to go on, so it's a continuous process, and that's why I asked that. And I think it's so dope, like, because obviously from being in BWSO and you making everybody read Fred McCallum book, and like once I read that book, I even understood why you need BWSO even more. And I've seen a correlation, because obviously when the candle patterns, like obviously it's like depending on what color you want to put them, but they made blacks go down, like black is means is going down, and it's just like, that's kind of funny how y'all did black going down but white means going up. So it's just like, cool, I peeped the game, but like you said, we were the originals that's ever traded or whatnot, and in general, so at the end of the day, it's a matter of like, I seen that correlation. So as far as college though, I know we speak about this all the time. Like, what advice do you give to a college student right now? Obviously, we know we both left school because we got a bigger vision, whether people agree with it, see it or not, and then also having results to back it up. It's more of, what could you give to a college student that's only been forced or only been pushed college, knowing that college, you graduate and it's like you still not making any money, and it's like you struggling. There's nothing's guaranteed. So what advice could you give to a college student on that?
Man, I would say, the relationships that I developed in college were monumental in my development. So I know a lot of people like bash college. I think college is really good for everyone to go to, whether you even finish or not. Yeah. I even think that even if you go to college for, let's say, 2 years and don't finish, I think because during those 2 years, the reason you might not be finishing is because you might have developed so many relationships. You might have really figured out what you actually want to do. You might have developed some sort of business, some sort of niche, some sort of passion during that 2 years. And the reason why I think college is good is because it gets you away from home. Yeah. Right? So it kind of allows you to build up a sense of individuality. And it's really good for those kids that might have been sheltered too. Yeah. And like you said, hey, just go to college for this, just go to college for that. Like, think about how many girls we probably know that their moms probably told them, hey, go to college and be a nurse. And they probably didn't want to do that. Yeah, but then they went to college and figured out another passion that they had, and now they're a realtor or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's different things that I think that college can be beneficial. For me, agreed. I would never, I look at my college experience, as honestly a great thing, because the people that I met, the connections that I made, the personal development that I had, and even if I look at my life right now, my personal trainer, I met him in college. He did my freshman convocation, the speech.
He tried to kill us the other week.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's a lot of relationships that I have from college that I still have today. So I can do nothing but really just speak highly of it. So I would say to anybody that's in college right now, maximize your experience.
I'm glad you said that, because I'm guilty of, I feel like before I was bashing college, but I feel like obviously that's from my experience, not to make excuses. I feel like I bashed college like obviously years ago, because one, I feel like before I even got there, I feel like it was being forced on me, but it's like I knew I had a different path that I want to take. It was like I had the car, I just didn't have the gas yet. I just didn't know which direction, but I knew it was always going to be more.
Well, and college is kind of that push, though. Yeah. Because like even me, like I was pushed into college and this and that, but it was like I said, man.
Thankful now, though. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? College was super important. But I think it's even super important to even expose you to the reality of like, I think me going to college and realizing while I was sitting in a classroom that, when I graduate here, I'm not guaranteed nothing. Yeah. But I also blame high school though too, because the way that high school markets college, high school markets college is if you go to college, you're guaranteed to get something. Yeah. Where I think people would, if they weren't taught that in high school, they would come into college with a different mindset.
Agree, 1,000%.
Like, I'm going to be real. I don't think in high school that we were ever taught to go to college and network. No. We were really taught to go to college, stick to study, don't go to parties, and just get good grades and then go get a job. Yep. I think if more places taught, hey, go to college, network with people, join clubs, organizations, go to your financial aid office and actually build a relationship. Yeah. Go to your career office, build a relationship. Like the career counselor there, have a relationship with him. There's a lot of things that you can get smart. Like, bro, the list goes on. But you're not taught that. Agreed. You're just taught go and pass the test, get good grades,
Yep.
you know,
Which
and,
is intentional,
and which is important, and get that piece of paper, and you're gonna be good. But it's like, yo, it's like we know so many people that have bachelor's degrees and are not doing anything in their field.
I know people with PhDs and telling me they still in $200,000 with in debt and like you said, and still not in their field. So it's like you in $200,000 worth of debt. You're not making
And
even half that in a
you're
year.
a doctor
and
now.
you got a doctor, and this is like,
And still
not to
people-
bash him, but it's just like, bro, this is what I was seeing prior to going to school. So it's like, if this all I'm seeing, how can I see anything different? Like, why would I want to continue to go that route? And also with that being said, it was just like knowing like I said, obviously before it was more like a bachelor in college, but with evolving and growing, it's like, okay, I think college is great, definitely for the networking, the resource you can get from there. But I think it's also people got to know what they're going to college for before going. I think that
you can
it's
get that out.
intentional.
Nowadays, you can get that outside of college.
Yeah, and
There's
like
so
you said,
many different events that are happening. There's so many different things, so you can't get that experience without college. now,
Exactly.
too.
Agreed. And I think from like you said, middle school, but let's even take it a little step back further. Like elementary school, I feel like obviously since kids, he was like, oh, you can do whatever you want to do. But it's like, I think people just say that, but don't really tell kids, like, you can do whatever you really want to do. Like, whatever you want, and really actually make a living off of it.
You feel like the two choices you have is college or military.
Yeah.
Most
that
times
part.
they're not.
You ever thought about going military?
Nah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like that at one point.
I mean,
before in college, I'm like,
yeah.
I don't want to go to school because, like I said, and I also think when you force something on somebody, it kind of pushed them away. And it's like, obviously, I definitely, I ain't gonna get into the military talk, but yeah, I didn't want to go to the military, but I'm like, I don't want to go to college. It's like, I want to do what I want to do. I want to figure out life for me, and like, I think that's always been me, like not intentionally rebellious, but it's just like I got my own thought process, my own path that I want to take, and I don't want nobody trying to tell me how to take it.
Name one successful person that did something a popular way.
None. Now I can think of that just did it how they was told. None.
That's why I always do everything the opposite.
Yeah.
Because if you look at all the successful people, they always did things the unpopular way.
Yeah.
They figured out a way to do it unpopular.
Exactly. Yep. And I think that's what I had to do, and it's just like what I wanted to do. I didn't want nobody, like I said, to pretty much be telling me how to do it. But like you said, to nobody really successful that's worth keeping it, done it the way that they was quote unquote told. Who your favorite artist?
Favorite
music artist wise, yeah. I don't think I've asked you that. I know we talk about music a lot.
Right now, currently, or just like all time?
All time and then currently.
It's crazy because I think they're both starting to become one and the same. I think he's elevating. Like, I really rock with like Lil Baby, super heavy.
Facts.
I just think the reason why I rock with Lil Baby, and I don't think that maybe like when I say like maybe like my favorite, I don't think, I want to make something clear, I don't think Lil Baby's the best rapper of all time. Definitely not.
Yeah, no, I got you.
But I do think that for me, he's my favorite person, rapper altogether, just because when I listen to him, it just like gives motivation. Like it's never a time like that I think I'm listening to Lil Baby that I'm thinking about doing something negative or nothing like that. I just get like, yo, it don't matter your situation, just focus on coming up.
Exactly.
And like the hustle don't stop type mentality and mindset. And I think that mood that he kind of puts me in is something like a little bit different. Like you don't really get no party vibes from like Lil Baby. Like I think you just get really like, yo,
hustle.
You're like hustle. I gotta go run a bag up. I need to go run an M up. Like that's the mentality that I get. So he ain't really talking too much about drugs. He just kind of talking about, hey, the hustle, and just what you got to do.
Yeah, and I seen that evolution, and the reason I asked
he didn't start like that.
And but we seen how much he has grown too, and I think that's like I said, that's what evolving through experience is in every aspect. And the reason I asked you that because it's like now, obviously in a place where I'm at in life, and obviously you're at in life, like it's always about growth. And I know to some people that's like, oh, that's you doing too much, but to say, Baby's talking about substance. I can't listen to music no more that's just talking about killing people. Like, one, I'm not trying to go kill nobody. I'm not trying to put that energy around me at all, or even around my family. So it's like seeing that transition, just mentally making them changes and growing. It's like, I want to listen to something that's going to inspire me.
I want to listen to
Just
something
gonna
that's
push me.
me.
Yeah, it's like ain't no point in listening to that other stuff. Everything has to be substance. So that's why I asked you, because I figured I feel you was gonna say baby, because obviously we was turning up the baby just for the wedding, but it's like you said, top priority, like staying focused.
Like, come on, bro. He got a song named Top Priority. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I mean, and I just feel like, and he talks about his kids pretty much in almost all his songs. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's important. You know, him being a young father, I'm a young father. I just think there's a lot to relate to.
Yeah, agree for sure. And I think that's with anything. I think it's easier to like listen to it when you can relate to it. I can't relate to killing nobody.
Yeah,
so I don't want to listen to that. So with that being said, also as far as like, what advice could you give for people that's co-parenting? Like I said, we obviously know what you do. Obviously, a lot of people know what you do, but I want to evolve through experience about seeing that other side of like really growth, the intangibles that people need to know. So like, what's your advice to anybody that's co-parenting from your experience?
Yeah, bro, I just think for me, like, when it comes to co-parenting, it's just like, yo, really see what the other parent may need, like, in assistance-wise. For me, I just try to, I feel like I'm the easiest to deal with. Like, just kind of let me know what I need to do, you know, what areas you want me to, you know, take over, like, whatever, you know, whatever needs to be done, you know, whether it's getting them extra time or picking them up from school, you know, whatever, you know, I just had to run the other day. My daughter had an accident at school and needed to go take clothes, you know. So I just feel like, man, I just think it's a lot easier said than done, but it's just really just the communication, but it's also leaving I guess I would say maybe the pride and ego alone. And then I think us as men, we control a lot of things, like when it comes to arguments, like, and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, certain arguments don't need to happen. Certain arguments will not happen if you just kind of like, for me, it's just like, you know, I'm an easygoing person. Just let me know what needs to be done. You know, I'm not really the person that's really with the drama, yelling and screaming, you know. All
unnecessary.
That. Yeah, like, it's just about the kids, man.
No, I'm glad you said that, and because I think so many people need that advice. And at the end of the day, and when I say people, like, said, this is not just for everybody else, but I'm learning from this too, like this entire process, life experience, co-parenting, all of that. So I think I'm glad you said that. And also with that being said, as far as like you said, avoid arguments, you know how sometimes I don't think we should always compare, but it's like even when we do have our differences, and I think no matter, even if you are parenting and then co-parenting, you're gonna have your differences, so that's already a fact. But it's like, I know stories where the mother drove over the father. So it's like we see these experiences, like this gives me like, yo, like if we could work through this, like we ain't even nowhere near that end of the spectrum. And it's just like, if we see that, like, let's make sure we don't even start moving towards that or constant arguments. Like, let's see how, like you said, work together and like easy to communicate with. Whatever you need, just let me know and we could go from there type thing. So so hey, that's vital. And like I said, I just think people got to know more of that as far as on like the parenting in general, but also co-parenting. I know you kind of already answered this question, but I ain't asked it directly. Like, so what does evolving through experience mean to you?
Yeah, I think for me, evolving through experience really means to me is just like the experiences that you go through, you just become a better person overall, and you're just evolving. So you're gonna go through changes in life through every experience that you have. And you just want to make the best of those. I think for me, it's just about really just staying positive, man. I think a lot of times we get caught up in the negative things that happen in life, but a lot of like those are just lessons for you to come back stronger from.
Facts.
So yep.
Okay. Well, no, I definitely appreciate it, bro. Obviously, I know this is one of the first episodes coming back with evolving through experience. And before I even get to there, I just want to say, like, I'm happy to have you on as one of the first guests, bro. Honestly, I really mean that, because when I'm picking guests, it's like, obviously, or people just around me in general, it has to be people that I appreciate and that inspire me in some way. And at the end of the day, it's like a mutual beneficial. It's just like, I can learn something and give value at the same time. And it's a different aspect. So what do you manifest, before I even finish it and get to like what's evolving through experience closing, what's something like you manifested and then you seen it happen faster than expected?
Really, when I made my first $1 million, it happened a lot faster than expected.
When did you expect to make the first M?
Honestly, bro, I didn't expect to make it till really like 2022.
Okay.
And it happened in like towards the end of 2020.
Okay, cool. Hey, well, definitely big congrats on that.
So I was manifesting that like 2017, 2018. So I'm thinking like 4 or 5 years. I was thinking by the time I was, to be real, it actually, it happened, and then obviously the market went down. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, so it was kind of like very brief.
But that didn't affect you. Let's go on record and say that didn't affect you.
So it was very brief. And then it went back up. So I would say that I was saying by like 2022, 23, I wanted it to happen, and it kind of happened at 21.
You put that energy out there. Facts. I'm glad you said that. So now it made me ask this question. Obviously, people always see the W's and they don't understand behind the scenes. So let's talk about a time where you lost, not $1 million, but you lost a large amount of money. I think we spoke about money that's been lost. So like, let's talk about that. And how much was it? Did you lose?
Like 6 figures.
6. Okay.
It's part of the process, especially once your net worth gets up to a certain point. It's like it's impossible for it to not fluctuate 6 figures. You get what I'm saying? Whether it's even to the upside or downside. Like once your net worth gets up to a certain point, it's kind of like hard for it not to move that way. So,
how did that affect you? I can't even imagine. But
I think mentally,
we're getting closer to $1 million.
I think it's different if you come from nothing. I think if you always had it, it would be normal. Like if we grew up at 5 years old and we knew we was rich, it wouldn't really mean that much
at all.
But if you went from being at 0 or at 10,000 or 20,000, and then you went up to like, let's just say like 1.3 million, but then you went to 1.1 million. There will be some psychological effects because of how far you came. You get what I'm saying?
No, for sure.
So it just depends. I feel like it depends on where you started at. Because if you already started rich, for you to lose 6 figures is like kind of like nothing. But if you started off broke and didn't have nothing, it's going to be a different feel if you start to see a little bit of it slipping. So it just depends.
No, and again, like, it's the fact you said that. I'm thankful for it because, like, not saying thankful that you lost it, obviously, but obviously you went through that, so we ain't got to go through that. Because obviously I never lost 6 figures in a short period of time, because that was a short period of time or overtime. Like, it's probably a short period of time, obviously.
Shorter period.
So obviously I didn't lose 6 figures, but half of that I've lost like 50 bands in a short period of time. And it's just like psychologically, it's like, dang, like really damn, like, yo, like, how did I do it? And I feel like I hold myself accountable, and accountability is a big thing for me. It's like, what could I have done differently? And it's like, do you feel like you could have done something different, or do you feel like you have that mental balance, like, did I mess up? But at the same
I don't
time,
think there was anything really I could have done differently.
Okay.
I think it was just part of the process, to be honest.
Okay. Nah, facts. And like you said, you learn from it, and I think that's with anything.
Yep.
So again, y'all, this is one of the first episodes. I'm thankful to have my brother Lawrence on. This episode is sponsored by Kendrick and Darian, my brothers. I greatly appreciate y'all. Just showing love. Like I said, I brought this back now, although I had it since 2018. It's like I started focusing on other things. This wasn't paying bills or bringing me a substantial amount of money that I needed or wanted at the time. So it's just like I kept putting this on the back burner. But this is about passion. This is about lifestyle, all the above. This is a purpose at the end of the day with Evolving Through Experience. Like, we're not just talking about music. We're not just talking about sports, and no disrespect to anybody. I think those are great examples on things we could talk about. But let's talk about how the intangibles in those situations can really substantially move somebody else forward or inspire somebody, no matter where they come from or what they overcame in life. So like I said, shout out to them. Where can people follow you at? All that.
So they can follow me on Instagram, MrLawrence.e. Yep, Mr. Lawrence.
And you on Twitter too, right?
Yeah, same Twitter.
Same Twitter. Okay, cool. Obviously, y'all know Evolve Through Experience on all platforms, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, and TikTok. At the end of the day, we going to be putting this episode out real soon. Y'all could definitely support the brand, shop the brand at evolvingthroughexperience.com. And the reason this is different from any other brand and why I feel I'm in my own lane is because Evolve Through Experience, when you shop, it's not just shopping and getting a branded clothing or whatever. It's like, I got a project that I started under this, and I'll go into this on another episode, but I started Project Prevail to pretty much also, like, with every sale, I'm giving back to somebody in need. And when I say in need, because obviously we know we got American Red Cross, and I'll go on record saying that, where they'll get 10 million and only give out 100,000 to help. So it's like, y'all just got donated 10 million, and you know it's tax free, and you tell me you only gave 100,000 back. So it's like, nah, like I don't want to be the person to be like, oh, we always complaining about it. It's like, all right, cool. Now people can support, and then now I could make sure we get 10 million. We giving 55 to 6 million back to really help people forward, and this is gonna come back around at the end of the day. So yeah, make sure y'all follow Evolving Through Experience. Y'all can shop the brand, and appreciate it, bro. Glad to have you on.
Yes, sir.
It's a wrap.